Hello and welcome to episode 330 of the Thinking LSAT podcast. This will air on Monday, December 27th, 2021. Wow, just around the corner on Wednesday is the February LSAT registration deadline. That's December 29th. And then we have the January LSAT starting the week of January 15th. If you have not yet attended Nathan's weekly LSAT study group,
every other
week class. It meets every other Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. And all you have to have is a Demon free account, and Nathan will get you to commit to studying every day.
Yeah, we will be meeting on Thursday, December 30th. So you can go ahead and sign up for that now. Just go to lsatdemon.com, get a free account, and sign up for that class. You can come talk to me on December 30th, and then every other Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Cool. Today on the show, we got an email from a listener who, blew out everyone else from the water in terms of the number of minutes they've listened this last year.
Nearly double on the Spotify Wrapped.
Yeah.
Yeah, 11,000 minutes. Pretty crazy.
And then give us an update on all the applications or all the schools that they had been accepted at so far, which was nice to hear. Then we read some positive and negative reviews about the show very quickly. And more importantly, we focused some time on an email from George Mason, and it was debunking LSAT myths. That was their email, and we actually debunked their debunking. So hope you find that
debunk reversal. Sorry. They did a terrible job of debunking those myths. In fact, they seem like they strengthened their things that they were supposedly debunking. Whatever. It's just clickbait. They're trying to get you to apply.
Yep. Then we had another email from someone who has a much higher GPA at the end of their college career, if you want to call it that. And we said, yes, you should write an addendum for that. And
got
then
into
talk
a
to
little
them.
pop psychology talk there too about some self-talk that that correspondent was doing that we didn't like very much.
Yep. Got some tips for gamifying the demon. Also then finally ended on this super bizarre email from a low-ranking law school and their policy of averaging LSAT scores and why we think that's either a lie or very stupid. It's one or the other.
It's one of those two things. Because if that's actually what they're doing, I can't see any reason why they would be doing that. I think that they are hurting their own reputation.
Or we're missing something, and we'd love to hear it. But hearing it from such a lowly ranked school is going to be hard to swallow.
Yeah.
It's not working on some level, right?
They can email, or anybody else who has information about this can email help@thinkinglsat.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Yep. All right, let's jump in. So we have an email here from Palmer. Do you want to read it?
Sure. I attached my Spotify Wrapped as proof that I listened to the podcast for 11,277 minutes this year. That's 65 minutes for every LSAT point, another 456 minutes, and I would have scored perfectly. I'm not exactly sure how all that math works out or what Palmer's actually doing, but we do have the screenshot of Spotify Wrapped here. The previous leader was 6,200. So Palmer went ahead and almost doubled the previous gold medal winner for Thinking LSAT listening. 134 episodes, which is more than we released during the year. That's that's almost 3 years actually worth of episodes, or 2.5 years worth of episodes. So Palmer's clearly going into the back catalog and binging Thinking LSAT. But congratulations, Palmer. You are now far and away the leader on the Spotify Wrapped for the year. Palmer says, I also figured I'd include a cycle update while I'm here. 3.76 GPA, 173 LSAT, STEM degree, 3-year WE. Do you know what that means?
Nope.
Don't know what that means. And then Palmer
Work
shared...
experience.
Oh, 3 years work experience. Okay. Palmer has been waitlisted at UVA, and that happened on October 19th. Just to give you a sense of how early even some top 10 law schools are actually out there making decisions. You know, maybe not Harvard, Stanford, Yale, but UVA, you're waitlisted in the middle of October. Okay, how good of a chance do you think you have, Ben, if you apply in December for UVA?
I mean, yeah, you
Palmer
get it. You got to get past the wait list of people
Palmer's
who,
a 3.76 with a 173 and a STEM degree and 3 years of work experience. And UVA's like, yeah, well, I don't know. And then
we'll get
there's
back
these
to
other people just like fantasy land thinking, oh, well, I'm going to apply with worse numbers than that and apply in January. Sorry, dude, you're 4 months behind Palmer.
Yeah, you have to do better than Palmer because anyone who's on the wait list and already better than you is just someone that could be chosen before you but has not been.
Right,
So,
you think that they're going to like imagine if it's just an equivalent applicant, right? Like a new applicant who has exactly the same numbers and same resume as Palmer.
yeah.
Well, what, you think they're going to just like, oh, we'll take this guy? Like, no, of course not. Why would
No.
they do that?
No.
They've already evaluated Palmer's application. I mean, they're probably not even going to look at your application unless it's like got numbers that are higher than Palmer's numbers. Palmer has also been accepted at University of Michigan. That happened December 8th. UCLA on December 6th. Georgetown on November 3rd. Wash U in St. Louis on October 8th.
Wow.
George Washington Law School on November 23rd. And Chicago, Kent on November 19th. So these are, some of them top.
6 choices, yeah.
These are top 10s and top 14s and top 25s. These are, strong law schools, and Palmer's already in. And so, yeah, we are officially late in the cycle.
I would love to. I'm glad you got into these schools, Palmer, but I'd really love to know how much money you got.
Well, yeah.
Because, that's what we're really.
I think we can assume, I would guess that the scholarship estimator is going to, I'm going to actually do it now. So lsatdemon.com/scholarships with an S. And I am going to put in Palmer's 3.79 and Palmer's 173. No, sorry, 3.76 and a 173. Scholarships unlikely to, all the top 14, including UCLA and Georgetown. Wow, even George Washington, unlikely. Where's Washington University? Oh, there it is. Unlikely at Wash U with a 3.76 and a 173. Wow. This, I know.
By the way, I think the scholarship estimator has the new numbers.
That's just what I was going to say.
And that's pushing these things down. Wow, that's significant.
That is pushing. I wonder what Palmer would have done with a couple more LSAT points. Let's change that 173 to a 176. Yeah, now all of a sudden UCLA becomes more than full tuition. Holy shit. Wait a second. 173, 3.76, scholarship unlikely to UCLA. 176, and it becomes more than full tuition at UCLA. That's a little, I don't know. Our team will check that. Brittany and company, please take a look at that. But I don't doubt it. I just, same thing with Wash U. I mean, when you look at those schools, like, let's see. Is this the new 509 for UCLA? Yeah, 2021.
It's been imported. Good. Yeah.
2021 standard 509 information report. Well, I don't know. Their 75th percentile is just 171 at UCLA. Palmer's grades are actually below their 50th. So that's an example of where that STEM thing, I think, really might kick in. There aren't that many applicants that look like that, right? Like 3.76 in STEM.
Yeah.
And so I could see Palmer becoming an exception to that rule, or just an exception to these estimator results. if you're poli-sci, you're not going to get that exception. But if you studied, aeronautical engineering or something, then there's a good chance that you might buck those estimates. Okay. Anyway, anything else for Palmer, our number one super fan?
Yeah, the only edit I would make is he said he spent 65 minutes for every LSAT point that he earned. So he took his 11,000 minutes and divided it by 173, but I would actually divide it by 53 because I don't consider the first 120 points.
True.
Yeah, actually anything you can earn, right? You can't earn those points. You
True.
can
There are only
work
60 points on the actual scale. It goes from 120 to 180.
So you actually spent 213 minutes per point. But good job.
That's about, you've got to listen to a couple episodes per point,
LSAT point
on the 120 to 180 scale. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Palmer, for writing in. Good luck. Please write us back and let us know how our number one superfan ends up the cycle. You've got lots of time to negotiate, and you've got lots of great offers already in your pocket. And this is where we want everybody to be. Like, please be Palmer. Apply in the beginning of the cycle with your best LSAT score to multiple schools. Have multiple offers on the table in the fall. Palmer had multiple offers before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do, and just watch what's going to happen. Like, Palmer's going to end up going to Michigan with a stipend or something. Like, something good's going to happen to Palmer.
Cool. So where did we get this next thing? Is this from
So it's two things
Haley
that I
or Alex?
It's two things that I combined into one. The first thing is I got an announcement that Spotify now has podcast ratings.
Yeah.
So if you like our bullshit, would you please just take 2 seconds to go in Spotify and hit the 5 stars? And if you have 10 seconds, hit the 5 stars and also say something. Just say anything about our podcast, good or bad, honestly, because like even bad stuff, it's weird, but bad stuff helps us because it shows that there's engagement. And then I enjoyed these two reviews. You want to read these two? This came from, I think, Chartable is where I got this, but I get emails now from Chartable telling us how we're doing on. But these are both reviews from Apple Podcasts.
Yep. So this first one was on December 7th. Thank you, HDS something, yada yada, number, like letters, random assortment of letters.
Yep.
And the title of this review is Hosts. We get 1 star. And it says, these guys are jerks.
Yep. And that was on December 7th.
And by the way, you didn't include a period, so your sentence is it's like hanging there.
Concise, though. I mean, that got to the point. This person thinks we're jerks and gave us 1 star and said we're jerks.
The next one.
Thank you for listening.
The next one is from, I still can't, I have no idea what your name is, but I have never known a love like this. That's the title.
I can't, I laughed like 10 times yesterday. I want this person to know that you made me laugh with your review title of I have never known a love like this, period. That gives me a chuckle. And that's all I wanted to really say about that. But go ahead, you can read it.
Sure. This is 5 stars. And it says, this podcast is 100,000% exactly what I have been looking for. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. It's hard to find information about the LSAT that doesn't feel like listening to a brick wall speak. These guys are entertaining and absolutely hilarious! Exclamation point. I've already sent this podcast to my LSAT study group. It's a...
It continues, but I screenshotted it, so we don't have the rest of that review. But thank you very much. It looks like that might be Amy writing in via Apple Podcasts. And I am glad, Amy, that you understand what we're trying to do, which is we're trying to talk about extremely dry, boring shit in a manner that is not extremely dry and boring. So we do not intend to be jerks. I know Ben pretty damn well, and I do not think that Ben is a jerk.
Thanks, man.
You're one of the nicest people that I know. So I don't know. Maybe I only know jerks worse than you, but I don't think that I do not think that you're a jerk at all. as for myself, I know that my tone can seem jerkish, but honestly, all I'm trying to do is to teach you some things and help as much as I can. I
mean,
really
I
do
think you're
that my heart's in the right
direct.
place. What's that?
I think
Yeah.
you're direct, but
Yeah.
I mean, there's also people who value that.
Yes. I
know.
have been told that I'm rare in my directness, that I just kind of get to the point and just go ahead and say it. And that might not, that strikes people as uncouth or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to get to the fucking point so that we can learn something.
Yeah.
I see it as my, like, I mean, as a teacher, I love teaching. I have loved it since the first day I ever did it. I just loved it. And as a teacher, I really feel like my primary responsibility is to be honest. I have to be honest always. I have to get as close to the truth as I can in order for my students to believe me that I'm telling the truth. If I'm ever bullshitting you, then I've always felt like the class could tell immediately if you were lying. And so I'm not gonna like sugarcoat things or beat around the bush. I'm just gonna kind of get to what I think is the reality.
Yeah.
So I apologize if I come off as a jerk, but really all I'm trying to do is help.
Cool. So leave a review if you're willing to do that. Spotify now accepts them. Pearls versus turds. This is where we evaluate some advice that's been sent out into the ether and decide whether it's a pearl or a turd. The scoreboard so far is 16 pearls, 57 turds, and 24 ties. Today's piece of wisdom or supposed wisdom comes from George Mason. Yeah, George Mason School of Law. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Eric, team member Eric, forwarded this to us because George Mason is spamming potential law school applicants. The subject says LSAT myths debunked! Exclamation point.
Oh, wow. This is their own pearls versus turds. We're going
Yep.
to put them through their...
This is coming to us from Antonin Scalia Law School at George Mason University.
Okay.
And
This is in my backyard, by the way. Good school.
It's an okay school. I mean, what does it rank in DC?
It's like in DC, it's like 30, 40.
No, I mean
somewhere
in
there.
the DC schools.
Oh, in the DC, I don't. I mean, yeah, George, Washington, Georgetown, UVA, those are better schools. But I would say
Okay,
it's
so
up
it's
there.
the fourth best
Yeah,
in the DC area.
yeah,
So it's a fine regional school.
yeah.
All right. Impressive performance in undergrad often speaks loudly on a law school application. At the end of the day, an applicant's law school potential is about more than their LSAT score. They just state that as a fact right off the top.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't disagree.
No, I
what
don't
they
either.
what they say in the beginning, impressive performance in undergrad often speaks loudly on a law school application. What you're really referring to is GPA.
Right.
So if what they're saying in this first paragraph is, hey, your LSAT score and your GPA are what matters, then I agree 100%. I think they're trying to suggest that there's so much more to the application process, but I don't really think there is.
Okay, so there's 3 myths.
Okay.
Myth number 1, the LSAT is the most important part of your application. It goes on and it says, the LSAT is one of the many pieces of information included in a law school application. While the LSAT is critical, other factors are equally important in our holistic application review! Exclamation point. I think they might have misspelled holistic there. No, there's no way holistic has 2 L's in it. Okay.
Holistic
so-
is one. Yep.
Yeah, so that's a misspelling. At Scalia Law, we evaluate every single page of an application thoroughly.
Oh, I don't believe
Remember, any information requested from the admissions office is important to our admission and scholarship review. Okay, so did they debunk the LSAT is the most important part of your application?
Well, if I took their evidence literally, other factors are equally important. If that is actually true, then yes, the LSAT can't, by definition, be the most important thing.
Well,
But
no, I disagree. If they are equally important, then they are all the most important part.
I think you can only have one thing that's the most important.
Really?
Yeah, I think there can only the most important. There's multiple parts that are equally important.
Can't be the most important along with other things that are also the most important?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right.
So based on my, at least my definition of most important,
All right.
they have debunked that, but that's assuming this premise, other factors are, quote, equally important. And that I just cannot accept. I cannot accept that premise as true.
Maybe GPA is equally important. It probably is equally important.
Well, actually we know, right? Index formulas indicate that for some schools, GPA is actually more important. Other schools,
Probably
GPA
not George Mason.
Probably not George Mason.
Yeah.
GPA is less important, but I would say most schools, LSAT's a little more important than GPA.
Allow me to look at their ABA 509 report, because one thing that's nice about law school claims is that we can then kind of compare law school claims with law school 509 reports, and we can look at like what they're actually doing versus what they say they're doing. Their 75th percentile LSAT was 166 for the 2021 first year class.
Okay.
Their 50th percentile LSAT was 164.
2 points down. Okay. So
yeah. Now, their 25th percentile is all the way down at 158. But that's just because this isn't a super prestigious school. I mean, this is like an okay law school. Like I said, fourth best in the DC area. So there are better options for more qualified applicants. But the thing that I mean, look, 25% of their class has an LSAT between 164 and 165.
yeah.
Because another 25% of their class has a 166 or higher.
Which is probably roughly 166, 167, 168.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of 180s.
Yep.
Because those people would have gone to better schools. So, they can say anything they want, but until their range of LSAT scores as reported on their public data, until that range broadens, the facts indicate that you admit an extremely narrow range of LSAT.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they're actually parsing this out very, lawyerly. Other factors are equally important. And by other factors, they just mean GPA.
Oh, yeah, because factors, it doesn't necessarily have to be more than one thing.
No. So technically what they've said here is possibly true, but even then,
GPA,
yeah.
Their ranges of GPA, it looks really similar, right? Their strategy seems to be the same for LSAT and GPA, because their 75th percentile GPA is 3.88. Their 50th percentile GPA is 3.81. So 0.07 GPA points between the 50th percentile and the 75th percentile on GPA. But then the 25th percentile, it drops all the way down to 3.41. So, yeah, they are willing to make some exceptions for a low LSAT or a low GPA.
Yeah.
But not too low, and certainly not both of those things at once. That would be very rare that they're going to make that exception. And in that case, of course, they're going to charge you full price, which would be a mistake to pay full price at a school like this, because when we look down at their grants and scholarships for 2020, 2021, they gave 89% of their class a scholarship. So there are 11% of the class who are actually paying sticker.
Wow.
This is more and more common, it seems like, where they just almost nobody gets charged full price. Like if you get charged full price, you're getting super screwed. But they did
at the bottom. You are at the bottom.
Bottom 11%.
Yep.
You're paying more than 89% of the people there.
So if you go into that, and I would suspect that most people who are paying full freight are not happy that they didn't get a scholarship, but at the same time, probably not unhappy, right?
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, okay, I got in, yay. And
I'm in
okay,
at this super prestigious fourth best law school in DC.
And what do I pay? Okay, well, that's the cost of law school. All right, here we
What
go.
do I pay? What is it? Oh yeah, non-resident is $38,000 a semester. Resident is 23,000 a semester.
38 a semester?
Oh wait, sorry, per annual. Oh, maybe that is per year. Wait, but that seems low actually.
Well,
Do we think that the
it's a state school.
Oh, okay. So maybe that is all right. So non-resident is 38 and a half. Resident is 23,000. Really? 23,000 to go to George Mason? Really?
Maybe so. GMU law.
I know that these used to be per semester, and we've seen glitches on these forms before.
Yeah. Per year, tuition per year is 23,000. Yeah, that's a
For
good
resident.
price.
Okay. Plus another $3,000.
That's in line with
fees.
like Canadian schools.
Right.
Oh
yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah, but even that, I mean, this just goes to show how ridiculously law schools are overpriced, because even that, they're hardly charging anybody that. They're only charging 11% of their class that.
that's crazy.
And then another 29% of the class is getting something less than half, which I have a feeling a lot of those are real bottom feeding grant amounts.
Here's $5,000. Now you feel better about
Exactly.
yourself.
And then you feel better about yourself, and like I, hope that you don't see the rest of this report where 42% of the class gets somewhere between half and full, 12% get full, and 6% get more than full.
6%. How big is their class?
Big, 484 total students, and of those, 300 of them are getting somewhere more than half or more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's
30 people are getting like paid to go there. That's
yeah. Well,
anyways.
yeah.
It's
No,
a lot
it's 18% of the people who are paying nothing at all. 6% of the people are getting paid. 18% are paying nothing at all. And 60%, 42 plus 12 plus 6, 60% are getting something more than 50% off.
wow.
So just like, you need to tell them to take that $7,500 scholarship offer or $10,000 scholarship offer and shove it. Because
Sure.
they're still charging you more than they're charging 60% of the class. So that's a bad offer.
Imagine going to the Apple store and realizing that more than half, that 60% of the people in the store right then and there are getting 50% off on their iPhone.
Yeah, you're about to pay $1,400 or whatever for that phone. And more than half the people in the store are paying $600.
Yeah,
For the
they
same
have
phone.
a coupon that says 50% off, and you're like, "Where'd you get that?" And they're like, "Well,
60% off, 75% off, 90% off.
some people are being paid to come buy an iPhone."
Free, also free phone, and we'll throw in some AirPods. Yeah. That's the game we're playing when we apply to law schools. And so, it's our primary mission here is to get you to play the game correctly, which means don't pay.
Yep.
Just get yourself one of these scholarships. Okay, anyway, myth number 1, they say the LSAT is the most important part of your application. I don't think they did a very good job of debunking that. They didn't present facts that actually justify their purported debunking.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2, myth. Scholarships are only awarded to students with high LSAT scores.
Okay. The problem with debunking this myth is it's super easy to debunk. Right? Like,
Yeah,
you just need one person. You're like, oh, I found
Well,
one person.
Well, exactly, because only would mean
Yeah.
that all they need is one exception, right?
Yep.
Do they give us that data though? Let's see. Here's what they actually say. I mean, sure, they could debunk that if they said, "Hey, look at Bill. Bill was a 4.0 and a 150,
Yeah.
and Bill's here on a full scholarship." That myth would be debunked. Instead, what they say is most of Scalia Law School's scholarships are based on academic merit. Although the LSAT is one way to define academic merit, an individual's undergraduate GPA also shows academic prowess! For the incoming class of 2021, 93% of students were awarded scholarships,
Ugh.
including students with LSATs below our median!
Whoa,
Wow,
whoa,
that's
whoa. They had
3
just
exclamation
admitted.
points already.
They just admitted that they're giving scholarships to 93% of their students.
Yeah.
That's an interesting admission. It's like you're inviting people to ask for money.
Well, it's weird because the 509 only says 89%.
Well, I guess that's from.
Who knows? Who
Well,
knows
wait,
what's going on here?
you know what's strange about this myth number 2, or this debunking in myth number 2, is that it actually kind of. I mean, I depending on how critically you want to look at myth number 1, but in some ways it kind of admits that the two numbers that are at play here are GPA and LSAT. It's like, oh,
Well,
although LSAT is one way to define academic merit, an individual's undergraduate GPA also shows academic prowess. It's like,
yeah.
okay, are you going to talk about anything else, or are you going to just admit that those are the two things you look to decide academic merit?
Yeah. My thing is, it's like a straw man argument. Look at what they're doing here. They're going to debunk the myth that scholarships are only awarded to students with high LSAT scores. But I don't think anybody thinks that scholarships are only awarded to students with high LSAT scores.
Yeah,
I
it's
believe
full scholarships.
Well, I believe that scholarships are primarily awarded to students with high LSAT scores.
Yeah.
But, like, sure, there are exceptions. I mean, all you would need is one exception to say, no, it's not only. And
Well, it's also
that's
only talking about scholarships as opposed to full scholarships. So it's really easy to debunk.
Yeah, and right, with 93% of your students getting some shitty offer, then yeah, of course they can give some low LSAT offers because that's the scam offer, which you guys give. I mean, look at it.
It's
again.
actually, it's interesting. Like, yeah, you're right. It's a scam offer because it's actually worse maybe than not paying at all, because now people feel good. They're like, oh, I got a
29% of your class is there on one of these scam offers. 29% of your class is getting something less than half tuition. And so, yeah, sure, you gave some of those real bad offers to people with low LSATs. Great. I don't believe you that you're giving full rides to people who have LSATs like below your median. That's just not happening.
Yeah. No.
Okay. Myth number 3, students with high LSAT scores do better in law school. And now they say that this is a myth.
What? They say that's a myth? Other people have studied this. I mean, yeah, you need to look at your LSAT and, surprise, your GPA to figure out how likely you're going to succeed in law school.
It's not a myth. It's a fact that students with high LSAT scores tend to do better in law school. Students with high GPAs also tend to do better in law school. Students with high LSATs and high GPAs tend to do better in law school. That's not a myth. That's a fact. Here's how they debunk this fact, which is, listen to this argument. The LSAT is one of many factors that helps predict an applicant's ability to perform well in law school, but a prediction is just that, space, dash, now it's an M dash, space, dash.
It's an N dash, I think.
The previous one was just a dash.
Yeah. We're not yet up to an M dash, though. This is an N dash.
Oh, an N dash, sorry.
Yeah.
Space, N dash, space, a prediction, exclamation point. Okay, so it's a garbage sentence. I think there might be a subject-verb disagreement there, because I thought we might need help predict, not helps. One of many factors. If you were going to say one of many that, I'm not sure if that would be help.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, do you go back to the original LSAT? Is one of many factors.
One, or is it the many?
No, I think that in this sentence is modifying factors.
So it should be that help. One of many factors that help.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, so that was bad. All right. Well, that's okay. Anyway, in their attempt to debunk the myth, the very first thing out of their mouth is an acceptance of it as a fact. They grant that the LSAT is one of the factors that helps predict an applicant's ability.
Yep. And they go on.
And then they say, though the LSAT is a good indicator for success in law school,
missing comma.
There are several students with below median LSATs who have performed, and then it goes on. And again, I just had to screenshot this because I couldn't copy paste their email for whatever reason. So that's the end. But I think we have enough here to declare this a turd.
Yeah, well, it's just funny too, because saying that there are several students with below median LSATs who have performed well is unsurprising. I mean, no one's going around saying, oh, if you don't have a high LSAT score, then you're going to fail. We recognize there are some exceptions. It's like all social science. We're looking for trends.
This email fails at LSAT logical reasoning. That's what this email fails at. Both their discussion of myth number 2 and their discussion of myth number 3 have committed logical fallacies.
Yeah.
The fact that there are several students with below median LSATs who have performed well in law school does not debunk the idea that students with high LSAT scores tend to do better in law school.
Yeah.
No one is saying only high LSAT people get scholarships. No one is saying only high LSAT people do well in law school. But we are definitely saying that high LSATs tend to get scholarships. And we are also saying that high LSATs tend to do better in law school. Neither of those things are myths. And you have not debunked the myth.
I would go even further. I would say we're saying that high LSAT scores tend to get full scholarships.
Yeah, not only do they tend to get scholarships, but they tend to get the best scholarships.
Whereas other people don't tend to get those.
Yeah, and this is just, like, you could absolutely make bogus LSAT logical reasoning arguments out of these statements.
Yep.
That are coming out of the admissions office at George Mason, which is just like, stop listening to law schools for law school admissions advice. We've said that recently. It's just you're listening to the fox who is guarding the hen house, and that is not the person that you want to take your advice from.
Hey, by the way, stepping back, what's the point of all these debunkings, right? They are trying to debunk the idea. The point of this email is to make you feel better about applying with a low LSAT score. Why are they doing that? So they can then give you a fake, what'd you call it? A scam scholarship or nothing, and use you to pay for the students who have gotten real scholarships.
It's a scammership.
This.
They offer a lot of scammerships.
They're trying to get you to apply. Yeah.
Yeah, 29% of their class gets a scammership of less than half tuition. Yeah, all they want is your application. That's like job one is to get the application in. And that's why they give such shitty advice about the LSAT and law school personal statements. Oh, write about whatever. Write about why you want to be, write about your childhood experiences that made you want to be a lawyer. Write about your family's personal legal dramas. Write about anything you want. And it's like, because they don't care. They want your application. They just want to make it as easy as possible for you to line up to try to give them money.
Yep.
It's a business. Even if it's a state school, whatever, it's a business. And they need revenue. So they're just trying, anyway.
So clear
I find the
turd
whole thing
here.
Distasteful. Yes. You want to wrap that up?
Is that?
I don't have anything more to say about this. My estimation of George Mason has fallen.
Yeah.
I'm not there. They are. I just think that they are extremely representative of all of the. That's the game. I mean, that's most law schools look like this.
Yep.
Which is they're giving these fake scholarships. They are the primary thing that they're interested in is getting you to apply. And they're out there giving lots of bad advice. It's this clickbaity LSAT myths debunked email.
Yeah.
That they're sending out to everybody who, within thousands of miles who might apply to their law school. And they're not debunking shit. I mean, in fact, they seem like they reinforced every single one of these things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, you got a Pearl versus Turd candidate. Email help at thinkinglsat.com or find us on social at thinkinglsat, and we will tell you what we think. This next email is from M. Hello, Ben and Nathan. I hope this email finds you well. I have almost strictly listened to your podcast since discovering it in November. You are both a hoot. and you are truly making studying for the LSAT more fun. Sadly, I discovered the demon after purchasing a Kaplan course, which now sits untouched. But never mind this, and to my question, which I'm sure will not be my last. I listened to your recent Thinking LSAT podcast with Harvard 2L Melissa Anderson. That was nice, by the way, to talk to her. And I was curious about when it makes sense to write an addendum. For probably unnecessary background, I will be applying to schools in 2022 when I will be 3 years out of school. I am a URM, underrepresented minority, who went on a full scholarship to a private liberal arts college, and I plan on, per your advice, going to law school with a full ride as well.
Love this. This is all sounding really, really good.
It's great.
Excellent.
My undergrad GPA is 3.69. My major GPA in a law-related major is 3.92. Okay. Side note. My junior and senior GPA is 4.05. Okay. Definitely something worth mentioning in an addendum, I think. My 3.69 comes from science and math gen ed. Yuck. Classes I took during my freshman and sophomore years of college. Would this be worth writing an addendum about? Sorry, I answered your question already. Yes, but keep it short. One of these grades includes a C minus. I don't care. I know a 3.69 is not a horrible GPA, but a 3.92 and a 4.05 respectively are much better. Yes. Okay. I think the quick answer is yes, and it could be 2 sentences, right? 1 sentence. My overall GPA is 3.96, period. My junior and senior years, I maintained a GPA of 4.05.
That's all I would say. I don't want you to take a swipe at science and math.
No. Or bring up this. See, if you start talking about this class that you got a C minus in, what you're doing is you're bringing that person's mind to that problem. Yep. You don't want to be a mosquito who's biting somebody and then now bringing their attention to that mosquito. You want to be someone who's right. Like, look at the sunrise. Look how beautiful right. It is. And the sunrise is your GPA from your junior and senior
yep.
year.
Love it. Point to good facts. Don't point to bad facts.
Yep.
That C minus is a bad fact. Do not mention it.
Excuses are bad facts. Excuses are mental states that they don't want to hear about.
Yeah, making the fact that you suck at science and math is a bad fact. That hurts your application. That doesn't help your application. Like, my estimation of you goes down when I hear you say yuck related to science and math. I'm sorry, but that's a fact. Like, that's just how I feel about it. You are going to encounter science and math related issues in your legal career, in law school and in your legal career. And you trumpeting the fact that you don't like science and math is nothing but bad for you. So you got to stop saying that.
Yep.
I appreciate that you're sharing it with us because we're your pals and, we're here to help you. That's true. But don't ever say that to anybody else ever again. It's just not. Well, why would you? Why would you? You're bringing up bad shit about yourself. Stop it.
Actually, that's an interesting point. And you don't want to say it to yourself either. I think a lot of people end up doing poorly in math early on in education. And by the way, if you went through public schools, you probably didn't have the best of education. I'm not just sorry. That's just true. That's just a probability, right? Like, anyone out there in the public school system runs the risk of maybe taking a math class from a teacher who wasn't probably the best teacher for that subject. I have no idea. Yeah, public school. So let's assume for a second that you unfortunately didn't have the best of math teachers or science teachers in one of your classes. You didn't do as well as you could have done. You start to think of yourself as someone who's not good at math, but it turns out you just didn't have a great class or a great teacher. A lot of people can do math and science who think they can't. So you need to stop saying yuck to these things and start getting curious about them. Maybe find audiobooks on them. I'm listening to an audiobook right now about physics. It is extraordinarily fascinating.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah, I like this self-talk idea. I mean, you're still studying for the LSAT. There's going to be a reading comp passage about science on it.
Yep.
Are you going to just see that and go, oh, yuck, yuck. Science? Yuck. I'm not good at that. I got C minuses in science and math. I got bad grades in science and math. Are you like deciding before you even get there that you're going to underperform on a logical reasoning question that has something to do with biology, or a reading comp passage that has something to do with physics? Are you just like, because even if it's only subconsciously, every time you say yuck about science and math, you're just reinforcing that you're bad at that stuff.
Yeah, it becomes self-fulfilling. So then you don't pay attention to it. And of course, then when you're asked anything about it, you don't know the answer.
Have you read The Four Agreements, Ben?
Nope.
It's this like hippy dippy kind of self-help book that I read recently that I got to reread it again. It's got some stuff in it that I just don't even understand at all, but it's got one of the four agreements is be impeccable with your word. And my understanding, or at least what I took away from it, is that it really was mostly about self-talk. That you shouldn't say things that you don't really mean, and you shouldn't say things that you're not trying to like embody into your experience of life. And so, when you say things like science and math, yuck, like is it really like you're just that's how you want to be in the world? Like that's what you want your life to be? You want science and math to be yuck for like your whole life experience?
Yeah, I mean,
No.
I bet 100% that M's experience in school with math and science was not as good as it could have been. And
Yeah,
then, of course, it
for
became reinforcing, right?
Yep.
And so then anytime you encountered math and it didn't go well, you sort of see it as that. But math and science are actually extraordinarily fascinating.
Yeah.
Like you just haven't learned about them in a
Yeah.
context that's interesting.
Watch Planet Earth. Watch Blue Planet. Read some books by like popularizers of science, right? Read Oliver Sacks about psychology or the brain, or like we can refer you to lots of cool stuff. Like read Richard Feynman about physics, but yeah, don't carry this with you. This is an anchor that you're carrying around.
Yeah.
Now, we're like attacking M for overall.
was,
It's a very nice email, but yeah,
Trying to figure out whether to write an addendum and
Well, Ben's first advice though is the advice that we need to leave M with, which was my junior and senior GPA is 4.05. Period. That's it. Like,
Yep.
or maybe state your cumulative GPA and then point to the fact that your junior and senior GPA was 4.05 and leave that 4.05 ringing in their ears. Not yuck about science and math, not, oh, this person got a C minus, not this person did poorly during their freshman and sophomore years. Instead, we're just going to point to the sunrise, which is the 4.05 in that junior senior year.
I think I would write it like this with one sentence. Although my overall GPA is a 3.69, comma, I maintained a GPA of 4.05 my junior and senior years of college or something like that.
Yeah, and that's it, because that's just, you don't need any conclusions. You just put that fact, and then you give them an opportunity to anchor on the 4.05 instead of anchoring on the 3.69.
Yep.
Now, is that trick going to work? Mostly no, because they have to report your 3.69. But to the extent that it's even possible to make them anchor on that higher number, you should give them the opportunity to do so with that very simple, but no excuses. Don't put one excuse, let alone two.
I mean, and I definitely think you should do it because I agree with you that it's not going to make a big difference. But at the same time, when she's being compared to other applicants who have a similar 3.69, and I saw, wow, your last 2 years were a 4.05. I mean, that's so much higher. I would say to myself, oh, okay, this is a diamond in the rough. We're not going to get any credit for it, but when you come here, you're going to kick ass better than someone who has the same numbers as you.
Yeah. You know what? I guess M could throw in both those facts, right? You could throw in the 3.92 as well.
I was thinking about that, but I thought it might like muddy the number, like just get too many numbers.
It builds though. If you say my undergraduate GPA is 3.69, but my major my GPA in, and then probably name the law-related major. You could say my major GPA is 3.92, and my junior and senior GPA is 4.05. Then just stop. Don't say why the 3.69 is lower. Don't mention any of that bad shit. Just point to the fact that the 4.05 is the thing you want to highlight the most. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's move on. This PS, I apologize for the lengthy email and the likely not up to snub grammar. Do you think the grammar here was up to snub?
No, I didn't. Yeah, I thought it was. I didn't really notice anything. So if there were any mistakes, it wasn't glaring enough to stop and comment on.
The phrase is up to snuff. The phrase is not up to snub. It's up to snuff. With 2 F's, if you're going to use that idiom. I imagine it's an idiom. I don't know what it is even referring to, but you would never say up to snub. Yeah.
You snub people, right?
If someone invites you to their Thanksgiving party and you don't go, you have snubbed them.
What does snuff mean?
Up to snuff, I do not know the origin of that. I do know that snuff is isn't that like a Victorian era tobacco thing? Where people...
I have no idea.
Yeah, it has something to do with tobacco.
Oh, well, as a verb, snuff is to snuff out a candle. That makes sense. Let's see if a noun. Oh, yeah, noun, powdered. Yeah, if you snuff like a...
Well, no, I get that. Or like snuff films are like, murder films. But then the up to snuff doesn't make any sense.
Well, the noun definition is powdered tobacco. So maybe it originated. Is it up to snuff? Is it up to that?
Is it this fine
to
tobacco
that quality?
Product? Yeah. It must be, yeah.
Okay.
All right. We got a couple more emails. Ready to move it along?
Yeah, you got this one.
Alan says, hello, I listened to your podcast the other day where you mentioned gamifying the LSAT. I think a possible way to do this would be to implement a ranking system where you could compete against other players. I suppose this suggestion has already been made, but mine would include some differences. So, Ben, we've already been working on leaderboards for lsatdemon.com.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so we are working on something similar to this, but I thought that I would propose these ideas to you and see if you liked any of them. One, Alan wants ranked seasons, which would happen every week or every month in order to keep everyone on a level playing field. So basically just starting over. We were going to do something similar with our leaderboards, right? Because the leaderboards were going to reset every day or every week or whatever.
Yep, every day at first, yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number 2, achieving a certain rank, say rank 1, would give you a discount on the next month or merchandise or whatever rewards.
So tangible rewards, okay.
Some kind of rewards for people who really kick ass on the leaderboards. I think that's a great idea. I like the giving out the demon swag, like this sweet hat. Achieving the highest rank would reset you to a higher rank than the lowest rank, which would encourage you to play each ranked season.
Oh, wait, I think I get this. It's almost like in the gaming world, you have different tiers, right? Oh, you're a silver player, or you're a gold player, or platinum, or whatever.
Basically, when the reset happens, you don't go all the way back to 0. You keep some of your progress, but not all of your progress.
Okay.
I can see something there once we get into a more evolved version of these leaderboards.
Sure.
Another possible idea, depending on the amount of users you have, is to implement a head-to-head option, which would happen in real time and would grant points depending on if you got a correct answer / how fast you completed it. If we could do this, I think it would be amazing. Where you're logged onto the demon and you see like, okay, there's 100 other people logged onto the demon at the same time.
And you guys do the same question.
And you could compete head to head on questions.
Yeah, game, go.
That would be awesome.
That would be interesting. You could see, the other player, like in Mario Kart, you have like little map.
Yeah,
and
or like playing Tetris
is.
against somebody head to head. You can see you can see them putting the lines together, and you're struggling to put the lines together.
All you could know is like they got 2 wrong and you got 1 wrong. That'd be.
Yeah.
Don't know which one they got wrong, but.
Cool. Well, I mean, Alan, these things are still months away, but. We would love to do as much of this as we possibly can. We do want to make the LSAT as fun as we can, and gamifying the demon to the extent that we can. We certainly will do it. So
I would say
thank you for your ideas.
they're only a month away because right now we are throwing our development resources is at two things. One is a native app for iPhone and Android, and two is revamping the Thinking LSAT website with more content, free content, and accessible content. So
Great.
those are coming out soon.
Yeah, and we'll work toward those leaderboards just as soon as we possibly can. So thank you, Alan, and everybody else. If you have other ideas about gamification, or if you just want to talk to us for any reason, email help@thinkinglsat.com. I get all those emails, and it's kind of been our quiet season lately. We're in the holidays now, and it's been kind of quiet. So you got a real good chance of getting on the show if you email help@thinkinglsat.com.
Yeah.
All right. Look at this next thing. This is a forwarded email.
Okay.
It's a forwarded email chain, actually, between an applicant and Belmont Law School,
Okay.
which I had never heard of before. Have you heard of Belmont?
No.
Belmont University, looks like U.S. News ranked 134th, so well down into the regional law school world. They are in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
Cool town. You been to Nashville? I love Nashville.
No, but actually just talking this morning about going there. So
You should go. It's fantastic. This law school is not fantastic. Their 50th percentile LSAT is 158. 50th percentile GPA is 3.71. And this is a back and forth between an applicant and the admissions office. By the way, this school gives 56% of their class some sort of a scholarship, including 26% of the class gets somewhere between half and full. 24% of the class gets full tuition. So this is half the class getting half or more paid for. So if you're not getting a scholarship, you're paying for someone else's scholarship. It's like 1-to-1.
Yep. They're playing the same game as everyone else, right? If you're really not playing this game at this point in the season, I don't know how you can compete as a law school.
Right. And then they say something very worrisome.
Okay, so do we want to start with the email at the top from A?
Yeah, read what A says.
Okay, this is A's email to us, and including whatever the emails he got below that. Okay, hi guys. Have you ever heard of any school doing this? I thought schools only cared about your top score. I feel like they're going out of their way to be assholes, and I don't see how this benefits them either. Thanks, A. Okay, so now here's the email.
Here's the thing that they are doing to be assholes. They're not doing it to be assholes. They're doing it because they're dumb. But here's the email from them.
Well, let's start with the email from the original email from the
which I think we can just paraphrase.
Okay.
A sent in and said, "Hey, I'm an admitted student, but you haven't given me a scholarship yet. Your school's my top choice, but before I make a deposit, I need to know about scholarship information, because without a scholarship, I will not be able to attend," which is the exact perfect thing to say to a school like this.
Okay.
You can't go to this law school and pay them. That would be a tragic mistake.
Okay.
Okay, so what do they say back?
Yeah, this is what they say back. Hi, A, thank you for reaching out. When a student takes multiple LSATs, we average the LSAT scores together. Your LSATs, what? Why? To what end?
Let me speak directly to what is the school again? Belmont.
Yep.
Belmont. You only have to report the highest LSAT for every member of the incoming class. U.S. News only ever knows about the highest LSAT for every member of the incoming class. Part of their law school ranking is determined by the highest LSAT for each member of the incoming class. If you average scores, that means that you are preferring candidates who have a lower high LSAT on record. So you are lowering the number that you're going to end up reporting ultimately on your 509 report. So you are lowering your U.S. News and World Report ranking by this policy.
Yeah, you're taking...
I could be wrong. about all that. But that's my analysis, is that that's what's happening. Am I right?
No, it has to be right, because as soon as you start averaging, by definition, you have to be lowering the score that you're going to consider for any applicant. Any applicant that has 2 or more LSAT scores on record,
Yeah.
you are now lowering, unless they got the same score twice, you are lowering the score you are going to attribute to them.
Let's
and so then
think
you're
about
going to, yeah.
simple example.
Yep.
Okay, so student A scores 150 and 170.
Okay, so their average is 160, and that's how you're treating them.
Student B takes it once and gets a 162.
Okay, so based on your methodology, you would favor the 162 single scorer over the 2-time scorer with an average of 160. But now that means you're passing. So then you're going to say, oh, the 162 is better than the 160. Unfortunately, the 160 actually has a 170 in her pocket, and now you're passing that up.
So you're preferring the applicant who will
pull down
force
your
you
ranking
to report a 162 to the world instead of reporting a 170 to the world, thereby lowering your law school ranking.
Maybe this is we're confusing cause and effect here. The reason this school is lowly ranked
Right.
is because they have this policy.
I've been hypothesizing this for years on the show.
Yeah.
I've always had this idea in my head that, like, if a school averages, then they're dumb and you don't want to go to that school because they're not playing the broader game very well. And I did hypothesize that they would have lower rankings because of this policy. Well, here we have a low-ranked school with this policy. And it's like, they could be lying. Maybe this isn't their actual policy. But if they're telling the truth and this is their actual policy, boy, if I was in the administration at this school, I would require them to explain to me why this is their policy.
Yeah, you could switch the conversation from, I'm not going to come unless I get a scholarship, to, I'm not going to come unless you explain to me why you have this stupid policy.
Well,
like,
if I was the boss, I would just be firing the admissions office. I mean, I'd be like, hey, are you guys that dumb that you're not playing the game that we have to play? Like, there could be some reason. I'm not from Tennessee. I don't know shit really about Nashville other than I love it. I have no idea what the legal market is like, and maybe there are some reasons why Belmont Law would not care about their U.S. News ranking.
Yeah, maybe.
But my understanding is that those rankings, I work with thousands of LSAT students. And
why are they giving
LSAT
out scholarships if they don't care about the ranking?
Right. You're intensely,
what?
Right. Every law school applicant is intensely interested in these rankings. So do you want your school to be prestigious or not? I don't know. I'm just struggling to understand. If I like to fantasize about being the boss, I guess. But if I was the,
we do have
chancellor,
this.
I'd be like, hey, why?
We do have the email. Maybe we email them and ask. Students who typically receive scholarship meet and or exceed both of our median markers. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I missed a sentence. Your LSAT score averages below our median marker of a 158.
Median marker of a 158. So that's just the median at that school.
Yep.
Is a 158. And so but I mean, God damn it. Like, I really do. My current belief, I can be wrong. I'm a man of science. I'm open to changing my mind. My current belief is that they don't understand the game that they're supposed to be playing, because they're telling this applicant, well, your average is below our median. But that median on the 509 comes from the highest score, not from the average score.
I mean, the best response to this may be a factual one. Say, okay, let's start with some facts. The highest score on record is the one that you will report to the 509.
Yeah.
Like, why? And then maybe a simple question, like, is there a reason you average?
That would be a good response for A, to send back to the school to go, well, hold on a second. This median, I assume you're referring to the median of 158 that's reported on your ABA 509 report. But that median is derived from the highest LSAT score for each applicant. My highest LSAT score is whatever it is. I don't think A shared that with us.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, your highest LSAT score might be higher than their 75th percent of 161.
Yeah.
And you might explain to them that if they admit you, those numbers will go up, not down. Like, this person seems to be thinking that A would lower the prestige of their school, but that's not how this works.
Man, that's a crazy thought that this player in the game is unaware of how the game is played.
It's not that surprising because this is, as I said, a law school that is ranked 134th in the country. I mean, they're right between Toledo University and Chapman University.
I know, but it's like watching like a baseball game or something and seeing a team only send out 6 players. And you're like, hey, what are you doing? You see the other team, they got more players on the field. And it's like, well.
Bad teams are bad. I mean, this isn't, like the NFL, there are some pretty shitty teams in the NFL, but it's still, there's only like 30 teams or whatever it is, right?
Yeah. We got 160 or 200. Yeah.
There's no differentiation between the majors and the minors in law schools. They're all just accredited by the ABA. So we're all in the big leagues. But, this is a school that's clearly not in the big leagues. And it's not that surprising that they are playing the game in a not big league manner.
Okay. Students who typically receive scholarship meet and or exceed both of our median markers of an LSAT score of 158 and a GPA of a 3.71. At this time,
Those are directly off of the 509s. And this person does not know where that data comes from on the 509. They don't understand. Maybe we've done belmont.edu. You know what? I'm going to root for belmont.edu because if they change their policy, I expect them to improve that ranking from 134. I bet they can crack the top 100 if they just stop this stupid policy of averaging LSATs.
Yeah.
Y'all are hurting yourselves, Belmont. Why are you hurting yourselves? Stop averaging LSAT scores. Nobody else is doing that. That's why your ranking sucks.
Oh, wait, we gotta dig into this next sentence. At this time, we are not able to offer you a scholarship. We operate from a finite budget. Well, that's true for the entire planet, by the way. So if things do change, we can let you know. Please let me know if you have any additional questions. So my question to you, this claim, we operate from a finite budget, yet you just told me that they're giving scholarships to over 50% of their class.
56% of the class gets a scholarship.
So, yeah, I think every organization, every human being on this planet is operating within a finite budget. That's
one of those bullshit things where you just throw in a reason just to have a reason, even though the reason is like irrelevant to the thing you're actually saying. You're just like, well, I mean, COVID.
Yeah, COVID. Well, that's been the universal excuse for everything. We don't offer peanuts on the plane anymore because of COVID. Like, what?
Right. Yeah, we don't have garbage cans on the golf course anymore because of COVID. It's like, no, that's because you're lazy and you wanted to cut your budget. It's not because of COVID. Okay. All right. I would love to see Belmont change this policy. I really do think this is, I could be wrong, and I'm not 100% on this, but I am over 50% that they just don't know the game that they're playing, and they potentially could like immediately start improving their ranking by ending this dumb policy of averaging LSATs. No one else is doing that.
Yeah, I would, if I were you, I would write a non-emotional email. Don't be rude or anything. Just be polite and explain the facts as we understand them, and then ask ask what? Like, wouldn't it help to admit me?
No,
I'm
I would
above
state
your
the fact.
150.
Right.
Yeah.
If you have a 162, if your high LSAT is a 162 or higher, I would state the fact that admitting your high LSAT is higher than their 75th percentile, and so admitting you would tend to make those numbers go up.
Yep.
And the average has nothing to do with it.
Yep.
God damn it. All right. Well, I mean, that's like, I've said it a million times. I just don't think you want to go to a law school that's doing that. Because if that's really what they're doing, then they are lowering their own prestige. Like they have a policy that shoots themselves in the foot every time they implement it. And that's not the type of law school that you want to have on your resume forever.
No, they're not gonna continue to grow or improve. I mean, sometimes we buy stocks precisely because we see the potential in that company. I'm not seeing potential in Belmont if they can't figure out how to play the game.
Yeah, that's a bad policy, guys. You got to stop doing that. And also, it doesn't even make any sense otherwise. Like, just if we talk about it on the merits, like, are you telling me that for some reason you prefer people who took the LSAT fewer times? Why? You don't want somebody who tried harder, studied harder, took it again, and got a higher score? Why? You want to punish someone for a single bad effort, like a bad day that was due to circumstances entirely out of their control, like ProctorU fucked up, or their internet fucked up,
or just simple ignorance. I just took the test and I shouldn't have,
right?
And then I figured out how the game is played.
A lot, especially at that level, right? They must have mountains of applicants from people who just like, oh, I want to go to law school, sign up for the official LSAT, take the official LSAT, get a 140, then realize, oh, wait a second, this is something that I should study for. You have lots of those applicants, and what you're telling me is you want to punish them for not knowing the game before they started?
Yeah. It's
Why?
strange. No, it's very, very strange. Especially since, I mean, all that there's a certain amount of luck that's involved with people who have one or two LSAT scores on record and they're very good. Sometimes people are extraordinarily prepared and they still just don't perform as well on the actual test day and they have to take it 2 or 3 times. That's just how this process goes.
Maybe they didn't sleep well. Maybe there was construction going on outside while they were trying to take the test.
And they didn't know they could
kept
challenge
interrupting them. There's just 1,000 things that can go wrong. And why are you holding those? It's like that was 2 hours of their life when they put that bad score on record, and you're going to punish them for that, instead of rewarding them for the 3 months that they then decided to prep and retake the test and maybe retake the test multiple times and eventually get a number on their record that reflects their actual ability. Why would you be punishing that?
Yeah.
And that's a whole separate argument besides the argument of, please play the game. Like, if you want to compete with other law schools, you have to play the game and do what they're doing, which is gaming the 509 reports by only caring about the highest score. All right.
Alrighty. Yeah, let's wrap it up. Be LSAT famous. Get on an upcoming show by emailing help@thinkinglsat.com. If you have questions about the LSAT Demon, email help@lsatdemon.com. Check out our other podcast, LSAT Demon Daily, which comes out every day, as suggested by the title, Monday through Friday. Anyways, that was episode 330 of the Thinking LSAT podcast. Thanks all y'all for listening. Nice knowing you. Don't pay for law school.